Hello and welcome fellow tankers. The probably largest World of Tanks update in 2023 is live now. I want to give you a short overview what's new and my opinion about this. About the things I think they might be useful, things which might be done with a good intention, and things nobody asked for. Speaking of those, let's start with the biggest part of the update, the newly introduced British wheeled vehicles. I don't know who wished for this or why they decided to add new wheeled tanks, but now they are here and you can start grinding them if you feel like you need to do this. I will most likely not go for the tier 10 or any of them in the nearest future, because as far as I can tell by the stats, they will not have a certain interesting role on the battlefield, which other tanks aren't already fulfilling pretty good. By design they should be played as mobile fast sniper tanks, which can't rely on their armor. This is already filled out and filled better in my opinion by the Leopard 1 and Leopard PTA. Whether they can perform in the lower tiers better than other tanks needs to be waited for, but right now my impression is they won't. However, my fear on the other hand is that they might nerf the Leopard so that this new tech tree line becomes more important and people have to grind it if they want to play competitively. Which means for wargaming of course more income, because when people are buying gold, premium time and free XP to grind the line, understandable, they need to make money of course, but it would be more healthy for the game if every tank has advantages and disadvantages in their own unique way. Wargaming is trying this, but right now those new British tanks look like a little bit just alternatives for Leopard or the CS63. But let's see, maybe the next weeks might prove me wrong. One thing is already sure, if they don't make any changes concerning the armor, those tanks will be huge HE shell victims, looking especially at the KP-set 07RH and the SHPDK, which bring in 90mm and 100mm of HE shell penetration. The new wheelies might be a great target to shoot at. First, something good is that maps are overworked in order to balance them better. This intention is, after Wargaming ignored those issues for a long time, definitely a sign of hope for the in-game balance. The maps which are reworked are Mountain Pass, Studzianki, Fisherman's Bay and Oyster Bay. Whether the changes are good ideas I can't tell yet. In my opinion, the northern team in Mountain Pass was doomed to play very passively, since the southern team can defend the northern part hull and hands down pretty easily, and it is able to crossfire into the central area of the map, while also defend the west part pretty easily from Camper Hill. Studzianki suffers, as far as I can tell, from a problem that if you win the ditch you can crossfire the Super Center, but you can't really push further due to the camping TDs in the bushes. You just can't spot these guys if you aren't driving directly into them. The northern part, as I think, is mostly unplayable because you can't push and you can't crossfire to the center of the map. It's kind of an unnecessary region and sadly this area isn't reworked. Would be nice if you could fight yourself through various hills towards the enemy base and bring more dynamic to the very static confrontations here. The battles on Fisherman's Bay are very static too, and I don't think the changes will change that little. At least the northern part will be more safe to go into the city now. Oyster Bay is still quite a new map for me. I am not sure if it was highly unbalanced in any regards. I always felt pretty good playing on this map. The future will show whether the gameplay experience is now better or not. But this wouldn't have been the first map I would have ordered to be reworked if I were the king of wargaming. The highly problematic maps are in my opinion Fjords and Mines. Those crap maps are so disgustingly unfair and clearly favor one spawn much more than the other, but maybe I will talk in another video about this. Smaller changes were also made to the maps Mudowanka, Cliff and Live Oaks, mostly in terms of blocking some shoot channels. Some minor changes happened to Lakeville, Ensk and Siegfried Line. In Lakeville, the valley now doesn't seem to be a fucking swamp anymore where you are trying to reach the peak in the middle at least until dusk. Great news are that some of your expensive hard-wage worked for premium tanks are getting improved, but I think the only noticeable changes are made for the Patriot, which is now able to fulfill his role as a heavy medium hybrid better and might even hit some targets now, and the Turtle, which is now able to shoot more easily on moving targets due to its faster shell velocity and is now not extremely fucking slow any longer, but just fucking slow. Kind of a weird combination now to have a good armored slow tank destroyer which has a high shell velocity to avoid head-on-head fighting, but might come very much in handy against higher tiers where the armor isn't worth much, in combination with the now improved higher penetration. So good news for the owners of those tanks. The same good messages in terms of speed can be made for the Churchill 7 and the Black Prince, who will now crawl a little bit faster towards the enemy premium shells. I don't think all other small positive changes are worth mentioning, as I think they might change a little bit the statistics which Wargaming are analyzing, but won't make the biggest impact on the battlefield for players in those tanks. So let's go to the nerfs of the update. The Object 268.4 and the VZ55 will be slightly worsened in their performance, giving the VZ most importantly a slower intro clip and overall reload, and the Object less top speed, less HP, and a weak spot which now almost earns the name. I will do a little comparison of the tanks before and after the nerf and see if the performance is now really noticeably worse or if it had not any effect on those tanks at all. One video should be uploaded the next days. I already did 10 battles before the update, but now I'm struggling to make the replays work because of a client update. It's really a shame that Wargaming can't or don't want to find a way to make it possible to watch all the replays after their client updates. I hope I will find a way, and I'm looking forward to prepare those content for you. And I guess, as everyone knows already, the Chieftain and the Object 279 will be slightly nerfed. Bad news for the owners of those tanks, good news for the overall balance of the game, and I guess 90% of a player base who don't have them. What is making those tanks so unfair? In my opinion, it's the armor and the speed in combination with a good gun handling. Wargaming is changing here actually only one of those things. The tanks will be slower now, and it will take a little bit longer for them to reach their position on the battlefield and kick our asses. Let's take a fast look at the armor of those noob massacring nightmares. So as you can see, the Object 279 is a very strong tank, very strongly armored, very hard to penetrate from the front. You need to reload premium shells to have a chance to penetrate the upper front. And if it's playing hull down, it's very hard to make a safe penetration here. The other thing is, the sides of this tank are still pretty good armored. Still, when it's side scraping a little bit, you see this thing here is still auto bounce, and there's this part where you can penetrate it pretty good, but if you don't know that, it's like extremely hard to fight against. The best chance is to get it from the sides and to penetrate it pretty easily actually, but if you fight against it and if it's playing hull down, it's almost impossible to penetrate. You need to reload your over 300mm penetration rounds to have kind of a good chance to penetrate it somewhere at the front. Best chances are still if it's side scraping like this or even over angling like this. Now the Chieftain T95 FV4201 Chieftain is something else. The turret of this vehicle is extremely strong, and yeah, as you can see, if it's standing in front of you, doesn't look so bad actually, but if it's playing hull down, good luck penetrating it with normal shells. If you're reloading your premium rounds, over 311mm in this case, you have yes, a good chance maybe here. If you are able to hit that, yes, good game. If it's angling the sides, then you're still not able to penetrate it definitely. If you're unlucky with your RNG, it has a strong ricochet bounce angle here. But of course, if it's over angling, then here it's a good possibility to penetrate it. Yeah, that's the biggest problem. The speed in combination with that strong turret and the ability to play very easily hull down for the gun depression is extremely strong. So it can actually shoot you like this, and then you can aim there, and if you're hitting this, kudos at you. Next part in the update is the start of a new Onslaught season. I plan to make an extra video about this because it's quite an interesting topic in my opinion. Same goes for the new season of a Battle Pass, though it might be not such a big subject considering there are not many changes to the previous two seasons. But I want to talk about this Battle Pass matter as a whole. Actually, the same can be said about World of Tanks Plus, and I have written down my thoughts concerning this already. There will be an extra video about it. The last thing I will lose some words about is the fact that now your flipped vehicles will not longer be just looked and laughed at in front of your comrade swines, but return to their intended orientation after 15 seconds automatically. Those are good news in my opinion. Still, I am wondering why Wargaming is considering this is one of the important things which must be changed, why still tanks like the BZ-176 are one-shot killing tier 6 tanks with full HP from 300 meters distance, and the Matchmaker, which gives you sometimes teams consisting either of a clueless startled bunch of suicidal lemmings, or a fucking blockthirsty all-slaughtering gaggle of coked up foreign legionnaires are not touched and changed. Clearly, Wargaming has its own experience about what makes the game enjoyable. Let's just hope they keep trying to improve the experience for all of us. So people who are paying the servers don't do this because they are grind addicted, but want to support an interesting and funny game. Alright, thanks for watching and cheers bros.